Welcome back to the Age of Cathedrals. In our last time together, we spoke of the high churches of the High Middle Ages as one of the great and magnificent enduring feats of architecture the world has ever known. Today we shall be looking at the very beginning of cathedral building in the Ile-de-France or Paris, that is, the Church of Saint-Denis. In the year 1144, Abbot Suger, who was in charge of the Abbey of Saint-Denis, just north of what wasn't yet the capital city, began an extraordinary chronicle which tells the story of the construction of the first Gothic cathedral. Suger was an exceptional figure. Born to humble circumstances, he attended school with the future Louis VI, who ruled as King of the Franks from 1108 to 1137. Suger served as the king's spiritual and political advisor, his ambassador, and eventually his biographer in a work entitled The Deeds of Louis the Fat. Abbot Suger made 4 trips to Rome on behalf of the French king, and in the winter of 1122, returning from a royal mission to Pope Calixtus II in southern Italy, he learned of his predecessor, Abbot Adam's death, and of his own election to head the monastic community of Saint-Denis. "I was elevated from this dung heap," he wrote, "to sit among princes." Abbot Suger spent the rest of his life between the royal court, which was situated wherever the king found himself, and the cloister. For 4 centuries, Saint-Denis had been the burial place of French kings, beginning with the Frankish leader Dagobert, who died in 639. However, Abbot Suger, a man of exceeding ambition, more for the French king and for the state than for himself, thought the old abbey church was too small, its entrance too narrow, and the space around the main altar too cramped. Dagobert had made his Basilica of the Saints magnificent, rich and full of treasure, he told us. Only one thing was wanting in him, that he did not allow for the size that was necessary. These are Suger's own words, contained in an account of how he transformed the smaller abbey church into a magnificent cathedral. The old cathedral presented what we would call today a security issue, the danger of controlling the crowds that came to worship on feast days. Often on feast days, Suger tells us, completely filled, it disgorged through all its doors the excess of the crowds as they moved in opposite directions, and the outward pressure of the foremost ones not only prevented those attempting to enter from entering, but also expelled those who had already entered. No one could move a foot. No one could do anything but stand like a marble statue, stay benumbed, or, as a last resort, scream. This mid-12th century security issue was also a feminist issue. The distress of the women, Suger writes, was so great that you could see with horror how they squeezed in by the mass of strong men, as in a winepress, exhibited bloodless faces, as in imagined death, how they cried out horribly, as though in labor. Suger's greatest fear was, however, that in all the commotion, the holy relics, and especially the remains of Saint-Denis, might be stolen by visitors who, having no place to turn, might escape with the relics through the windows. Suger's concern for the danger of crowds may be a subtle recognition of a general increase in population in the 12th century. Historians of climate speak of the 10th and 11th centuries as being cold and wet, and of the 12th and 13th centuries as being warmer and drier. More favorable climatic conditions, a mini-global warming, meant that agriculture thrived, and greater crop yields brought a division of labor. With a division of labor came cities. not everyone had to grow their own food, and those who remained in the countryside might provide for those who lived in town, while those who lived in town might make goods consumed by those who worked the land. Between town and country, we find a wealth of middlemen, entrepreneurs who maintained fairs and markets and transported goods back and forth between the areas of production and the areas of manufacture and consumption.